Hey guys, welcome to the Nick Bahe YouTube page. You know what you need to do. You need to subscribe, you need to ring the bell, you need to like the page, you need to leave a comment. I appreciate you. We're back. Already a foul. We got a flag on the play. We have a tissue with gum in it. Personal foul, tissue with gum in it. Get it out of the shot.
Right,
we are on YouTube again. For those that don't know,
I'm gonna hide it behind.
Yes, just hide it. Just no one will know it's even here. Okay.
My daughter does at dinner sometimes. She just like puts something behind her back and she just sticks it on the table.
Like that's like, Belle, we see you.
No one sees you.
Come on. Well, Nebraska is a winner, 38-17. Have you ever seen a game that was less indicative of 38-17? Like if you were traveling back from Cancun or Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take it to Bermuda, Bahamas. Come on, pretty mama. If you were the Beach Boys and you were down in Kokomo and you got there fast and you take it slow.
Have you been listening to that song? Or?
So we've started watching Full House again for Mava. Mava, huge Full House fan.
There's a whole episode on that, isn't there?
They're like, they are on stage with the Beach Boys and all that. Like, it was interesting. Were the Beach Boys that big of a band back in the day? Like,
so think of the Beach Boys in the 60s. No joke, were rivaled. They weren't the Beatles, but they were kind of like...
Really?
If the Beatles were A, they were a B. Like,
right, okay.
They were huge in the 60s.
Okay.
And then Brian Wilson, the lead guy, was kind of...
Look at you. You know a little too much about the Beatles. I don't know what's more embarrassing, me singing...
I think you're more embarrassing because you're singing. Anyway, they still kind of, are well-known band forever, but like in the 60s was their time.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, we've started...
In the 80s, it was like old school.
We've gotten like... This, I feel like I'm instantly that parent's like, we want more wholesome programming for our children.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to the family shows? I just want a show about a family. So we started to have Mabel watch more Full House. Michelle Tanner hits at a 98% clip with Mabel. But anyway, there was Beach Boys and they sang that song and it was in my head. But anyways, 38-17, not indicative of how the game went at all.
No, does it even feel like we won?
I don't. Well, here's the thing.
In terms of like how you feel.
Yes. Well, that's where, and this is like, I don't know how much... I mean, if I was just a fan, I probably wouldn't do this. Like, I do urge, if people don't have a life or have time to do something, like rewatching the game is very helpful. Yeah. I did that this morning. And because for me, watching the game, how I felt during the game and then immediately after the game, I was very disappointed, very emotional. And I'm still disappointed, and we'll get into some of the stuff, but you're able to, when you rewatch a game, you're removing all emotion from it. You're just watching it and taking it for what it is. And in some ways, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was in the moment, but there were a lot of interesting things to take away from it. But you're right, though, to circle it back. Like at the end of the day, they got booed yesterday.
Yeah,
it was booed.
I usually try to rewatch the game, like I said, just because you get to see things you missed. Didn't get a chance to, but I did get to go to the game, so I was in the stadium, and that was its own experience because it was like big swings in how you felt. Because like starting out, it felt really good to be there. Like,
it was a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. It was a perfect day. Everybody could just sense people were excited to be there, but there was the same feeling there I felt last year when we played. I think it was Fordham.
Yeah.
Was that the home opener?
I believe so.
And people are slow to get, they're slowing themselves to even applaud the way they normally applaud. It was really strange in that sense. Because like I remember by the time we got to Michigan, people were going bonkers. Michigan was the apex of like fans were feeling back, going crazy. Tunnel walk was loud. The tunnel walk was a little, mild, a little like you can feel people just being like guarded almost. It's very weird.
It seems like a lot of the fans are arms crossed,
yes.
That mode a little bit. And I get it, but I was curious. I wrote that down, wanted to get the vibe in the stadium.
It feels, I don't know, I'm trying to find an analogy. It's like Nebraska fans feel like their girlfriend just cheated on them or their boyfriend cheated on them. They're like you said, they're crossing their arms. They're like, I'm taking you back.
But
but we're on shaky ground.
I got my eyes on you.
And that's where it just feels tense right now. It's a tense relationship between the fans and the team.
I talked about how I rewatched the game and I felt better about it. But I kept on kind of waffling back and forth in my head where I rewatched it and there was moments where I was like, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was yesterday. But then like a little voice on the side of me, Bob Devaney, would pop up and go, this was North Dakota. You cannot forget about that factor as you're assessing and digesting this game. Can excuse-making Nick Bahe show up here for a second? Or not excuse-making.
Yeah,
but just...
Yeah, is he at the door? I'll let him know. Come on in, Nick.
Hey, can't blame me. Bad traffic. Would have been here 5 minutes ago. Just the way it goes, you know?
All right.
Just
Nick.
how it goes. Okay, but hold on.
Nick, you also owe me $10.
I just, you know what? Oddly enough, gave it to a guy at the median. He said he needed it, so I just have no money on me.
Oh, okay.
It's just one of those things. I'm sorry about that. Here we go. Excuse-making Nick is in the building. Lots to work through this week. Yeah. I'm not saying this is okay. I'm just laying out just things to chew on. Okay. Lots to work through this week. Jet lag, long flight back. Okay. That's one. Two, you do have lots of drama with hot seat stuff for Frost, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can't, you'd have to imagine like the heat, you walk into that, it's like a sauna inside those coaches. They're like, like Jim Carrey inside of a rhino and Ace Ventura too. Like, warm, kind of warm when we're it's 15
hot.
And 30.
Isn't it crazy? It got hot in a week.
Yeah,
got really hot.
Ramping up. So there's that. There also was a little sickness working through the team. Okay.
I'm curious to see how big of a factor that played actually on game day, because during the week it sounded not good, but like I would love to see if like were some guys playing like borderline sick?
Well, that's what again, I don't want to divulge too much, but it sounds like it kind of ripped through a lot of the team.
Yeah.
And just like anything else, if I'm just making 90s movies references here. If you're Harry in Dumb and Dumber, when you go to meet Mary Swanson and you're on, if you're spending the whole week just like,
maybe that was like the halftime speech. Like, everybody get in the bathrooms. Just clear yourself. Everyone's like, God.
They all just went and harried from, they had to.
Everybody came out and was like, okay, ready to score points? Like, I think so.
I think I feel way better now. Like, oh, man. So there was that. And then you can't underestimate the fact that there were two captains out. Yeah. Vokalek, ankle. Out, and then Nick Henrich, broken hand.
Yeah,
he's out. So you have two of your leaders out.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, those are all factors. But in the end, still, like we got to talk about the fact this is North Dakota State.
North Dakota.
North Dakota, and we've
mucked around with them pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't know where you want to start with that. But.
So this is what this is kind of what I thought I wanted to do here. This game was kind of a tale of two halves.
Okay.
And so what I wanted to do, rather than go drive by drive, I'll do that in the second half. But in the first half, I'm going to go a little bit more broad. We'll talk about the defense, the offense, and then some different things that were like, there was a player that we have to figure out whether or not they were drunk or not.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out whether or not Frost was drunk at the end of the first half. And then second half, I am going to go drive because there's some game flow things.
Okay.
How like little, it's amazing how this team, it's like little becomes big. Like they snowball in terms of mistakes. But so with the defense in the first half, we thought tackling, we talked about how tackling was an issue last week.
Yep.
That issue popped up immediately again in the first half, especially first third down of the game. Little comeback route. Miles Farmer's right there. He sticks him. He's 2 yards short of the first down. You go 3 and out, but instead Farmer goes
torpedoes
and misses him. And I felt like it just set the tone in a bad way.
It did. It's like it hurts your confidence, but even more, I think when a team you're expected to beat, just like that bust against Northwestern, that first drive of getting them kind of in a rhythm, I think it gave North Dakota lots of confidence.
Yes.
Just that first missed tackle just made him like, we got our nice first down. We're in rhythm now. Let's keep going, right?
Well, yes. And it also, we'll get into the time of possession numbers. It just kept the defense on the field longer, which ended up being a major factor in things.
Yeah.
But all in all, and I could have missed a couple. I counted 8 missed tackles in the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Farmer missed that one. Farmer missed another one. So I had Farmer missing 2. Reimer missed 1. Ernest Hausman missed 2 for sure, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 missed tackles for loss with Jason Peter Jr., Ty Robinson, and then Jamari Butler could have had a guy dead to rights in the backfield and whiffed him. And so it's not just, they weren't just 8 missed tackles. They were missed tackles that either A, led to first downs, or B, you would have had a tackle for loss, and then it became like an 8-yard gain.
Yeah, we missed the big plays, and then we also missed the third down. Like, to me, our third, I would love to see. I'm gonna pull up
the third down numbers were not as good as I'm with you. The third down numbers were not as good as I thought they would. Because that's what it felt like in the first half. North Dakota was 3 for 8 on third downs. It seemed like they were better than that.
Yeah,
and then for the game, they were 6 of 15. Doesn't that seem?
It seemed like they got every third down that they shouldn't have gotten.
Yes.
And so I don't know. That's surprising. It's not higher, but man, it felt like we just couldn't get off the field.
Well, anything. I mean, we tend to act like there's some big thought on how you miss guys just miss tackles.
Ernest, I really like Ernest Hausman, but he's a true freshman.
Right.
That's it's his first game playing. That was I was like, okay, here comes the freshman miss tackle. That's part of growing
that's a hard
pains.
spot for him.
But guys like Ty Robinson missing, this is his year to break out. And he's been pretty quiet for 2 games. And our DBs, man, I don't know. They're still. I'm not. We got to give them some time to settle in, and they're all new players. But man, I just look around and I just see communication seems like it is I was watching them on the field. It looks like it is just every play uncertainty is in the air with them. They don't have that boom, I got this. If they're going here, we're just it's not a known. It's we're really thinking a lot right now.
I would. It's because I wrote that down. It seemed like, and this was more prevalent early, but it still was prevalent throughout the game, where there were guys seemingly scrambling and talking as the ball was getting snapped.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yep.
And that's a problem. And I think we underestimated, we touched on it a little bit yesterday, but I think one of the things you found out is how much you miss Deontay Williams, Markel Dismuke, Cam Taylor-Britt, those 3 guys in particular, sorted things out. They were sure tacklers. I don't have a lot of confidence in Nebraska's safeties or corners in communication and open field tackling right now.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. The other part that I think is I felt like I saw a little bit more of what I expected out of our defensive ends, Mathis, Tanner, and Nelson. I felt like I started seeing more okay,
disruption, especially Garrett Nelson.
I thought Tanner played a pretty good game.
Yes.
I thought Tanner was physical, and he seemed to be he impressed me more than I think he ever had, just in terms of he was everything he needed to do, he got done. Mathis got a sack. I think he's still finding his role in this, in getting comfortable in the defense. But Snacks and Stilley, and then you had last year's Robinson and Rogers, those guys, that last year's 4-man rotation versus this year's, man, it feels like we're not getting any push or pass rush from the interior guys.
Right.
And man, I just feel like we're getting pushed off the ball sometimes.
No question about it.
Which is surprising.
I know. And disappointing.
Yeah.
And disappointing. But yes, so I wrote down the missed tackles, the communication, the only communication, this will play well for YouTube. Whatever this is, the guys got that down.
They got that. Yeah. That's good.
whatever that, they raised the roof. I don't know what they raised the roof.
You're checking to some sort of either cover 2, cover 3.
It's the only thing those guys, everybody's yeah. Okay. The last drive, I want to get the running man.
They know all the dance moves. It's like, remember that one? Like,
they start doing the Macarena. Yeah. I want to see that's seriously, that's all they got. They got to raise the roof down. I love it. The last drive of the half, I am going to go bit by bit with that one because there's a lot in there.
Okay.
And then that'll get into whether or not Scott Frost was drunk at the end of the first half. So there's about 7 minutes left.
Are we going to go over the offense in the first half?
We are.
Okay.
So get ready because that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was the offense that was the missed field goal. They had the 12-play, 61-yard drive that resulted in a missed field goal. So here comes the North Dakota offense with about 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Okay.
Yep.
First down, they get a 10-yard run. Second down, this was they blitzed the safety and Reimer missed a tackle. So it was like a double whammy. It was either corner or safety blitz, didn't get home. Reimer then was kind of the last line of defense. They skirted out for a 19-yard run. Then next play, 7-yard scramble run by a quarterback. The following play, there's another 5-yard run, which picks up a first down. Talked about that Jamari Butler missed TFL. Huge play there. You have him hit in the backfield. You don't get him down. Instead, North Dakota gains 3 yards. Then there's a false start on North Dakota. Then Nebraska deflects a pass at the line of scrimmage. I think Caleb Tanner got in there, deflected a pass. 3rd and 12. 3rd down and 12.
Yeah.
You probably didn't get a chance to see this on TV. They run a little over the middle to a North Dakota receiver. Horrible spot.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a good yard short of the first down. And the line judge is like 8 yards behind the play, runs up and then goes to the first down marker. They don't even measure it.
Jeez.
I mean, it was horrible, though. It wasn't even close.
Those refs didn't give us a call all game.
I know it sounds like we always talk about like, man, they are screwing us, man. But every targeting didn't go Nebraska's way. Like there's a lot of things that
it just was not. Yeah, no good spots. No, it was just one of those where everything just didn't fall our way.
But it was just, I mean, you give up a 3rd and 12. Now, granted, you want to see them, not have it come to that close. But at the end of the day, I thought Nebraska got off the field there.
Yeah.
But instead, it's a first down. 2 plays later, there's another 10-yard pass by North Dakota where I felt like it was another shaky spot where North Dakota gets a first down.
Yeah. But
here comes, we cannot confirm or deny whether or not Scott Frost took 8 quick shots of tequila and a Frank the Tank beer bong here. Now, maybe you disagree with me, but here we go. First down and 10 with the ball at the 14-yard line.
Yeah.
North Dakota runs right up the middle. Nebraska stuffs him at the line of scrimmage. Frost decides to call a timeout. So there's 54 seconds left.
Yeah.
2nd and 10, ball at the 14. Frost calls timeout.
What I don't remember, and I'm trying to remember, is how many timeouts did
North Dakota had 2 timeouts.
They had 2. Okay.
So Nebraska had 3, North Dakota had 2.
Okay.
Frost calls timeout. Here comes 2nd and 10. They run a little play action. Quarterback has to run. He ends up scrambling and gains 2 yards. Yep. So it wasn't an incomplete pass. Frost calls another timeout.
Yep.
Now it's 3rd and 8 with 46 seconds left. They run a little comeback route that's about 6 yards. So they're 2 yards short of the first down.
Yep.
Frost calls another timeout. So now it's 4th and 2 with 40 seconds left. So from when the timeout started to now 4th down, 14 seconds of the game clock has run off.
Yep.
North Dakota has time to think about what they want to do. They go up. They try to draw Nebraska offsides. Nebraska doesn't bite. North Dakota can call another timeout because they got 2 in their back pocket that they wouldn't have been able to call. So they get to now group together and think of another, what play they want. North Dakota runs a play action pass, picks it up.
But we celebrated like we had stopped.
It was it was one of those ones where the guy caught it past the first down, but when Tommy Hill hit him, that's where forward progress is a weird thing because he caught it and he was past the first down, but when Tommy Hill hit him and got him down, he was way behind the line. And then for some reason, the ref on the side pointed first down for Nebraska. So I think everybody got confused.
Yeah.
But so now it's 1st and goal. North Dakota scores, but the refs have a horrible spot, and they reviewed it, and they still didn't give it to them. So they called North Dakota short at the 1-inch line, but North Dakota's able to call timeout because they ran it.
Yep.
They wouldn't have had any timeouts left.
Uh-huh.
They call timeout now. They can stop the clock. 2nd and goal at the 1-inch line, play action pass, touchdown to North Dakota. 16 plays, 80 yards, 6 minutes and 51 seconds time of possession, touchdown, tied 7-7. There are times where I just don't know if Frost has Alzheimer's and thinks he's back in Eugene, Oregon, or he's back in Orlando, Florida, and he thinks his team scores 52 points per game.
Yeah.
Was he thinking, I want to get the ball back and go try to score?
Yes. So that,
what is he thinking?
So,
he caught maybe you disagree with me. Now, I don't want to put it all on him because the players could have gotten off the field. But to me, Frost's timeouts cost Nebraska 7 points there.
I don't think they cost them 7. They may have cost them 4.
Fair.
That's the difference. I think you've conceded they're kicking a field goal. They're scoring or they're kicking a field goal. What I think, here's the hard part, because I'm a little torn on this one. This isn't obvious to me because he called the timeouts and I kind of went, all right, yeah, we're thinking get the ball back, right?
Your offense had done nothing at that point.
Here's the problem, though, is it feels like you only do that when you're playing North Dakota and you know you can score if all you got to do is get the ball. But to me, it's like we hadn't really done that. And, and then how many, there was there 14 seconds left or something like that when we got the ball and we took a knee?
Yeah.
I think at that point, then the mindset changed, just get off the field without making a mistake. So I think that's another one where that's the old way of thinking.
That's what I'm saying. That's the Alzheimer's of
it's made, but see, I also don't know. There's a part of me, it's like if we stop them and then it's a good strategy to have done that, but it's tough. I don't know. I wasn't in the moment. In the moment, I thought, he wants the ball back.
I'm always really big on that. How did you feel in the moment? Because in the moment, the first time he called timeout with 54 seconds left, I immediately went, what the hell are you doing?
I think the underrated part of not taking timeouts is you puts the pressure on them. If they get first downs instead of score, then there's a time factor involved.
Well,
right?
you also gave them time to calm down, to think, to scheme, it's all that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's funny how Scott Frost, if anything, is consistent.
Yeah.
He's offensive minded. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to play to try to get, at all times, he wants the ball back to score.
That's been the game.
His thought. I just felt like I disagreed with how that was managed at the end.
That's a tough one. That one's a 50-50 because I think there's if you have a way of doing things, you probably do it the same every time. I think what's hard is you probably don't do that against.
You're doing that against Michigan? You're doing that against Wisconsin?
Probably are not doing that against Michigan.
And now, to be fair,
but you might do it against North Dakota. That's the thing is maybe against North Dakota, I'm not saying it's not the right move because you feel like you have the advantage no matter what. So that's where I'm not going to say it's a bad decision in all circumstances. I think it's in a close game against a really good opponent. I think you play to just get out of the half close.
It just felt like Nebraska needed to get to halftime too. It felt like the offense hadn't done much. The defense was reeling a little bit. And I wish someone would have asked him specifically about what he was thinking about. I think it's pretty obvious he was thinking I wanted the ball back and try to go score.
That's what he wanted. And
we don't need to belabor the point. I'm just, because you're clearly not.
That's a good one to discuss just because that is a strategy thing where I'm not sold that there's one way of doing it. I do in a way, I think because it's North Dakota, you do it. I just think I wouldn't do it against Michigan.
And
I don't know. I would maybe do it against North Dakota.
I also think there's a fine line between who you want to be and who you are. And I think who Scott Frost wants to be is who he's been when he was at Central Florida and Oregon, where they were electric offensively. Yeah. They're not there yet.
Yeah.
And now, again, does the mindset have to be there regardless? Maybe. And maybe that's how Frost would be like, you have to preach and teach and coach a certain way if you ever even want to get to that point. Maybe that's how it is, but I just don't feel like he's looking in the mirror and seeing reality. Yeah. If he's like, we need to get the ball back and ram it down.
Well, and I think this is you win the coin toss, you defer, they take the ball, you're getting it half. I think that gets in coaches' heads a lot. Like, we get the ball at half. This is our chance to double up. Them. Yeah, this is a double up thing, right? It's like a 2-for-1 in basketball or whatever. I think he's thinking 2-for-1 situation. And I get that. I think if you're kicking it at halftime, you probably think about it different. I think was probably a little frustrated. They kept the ball away from us.
Yeah,
we get the ball at halftime, and so this would be like you'd essentially lose your chance at doubling up because they'd kick the field goal, they kick off, and then they kick off again.
I think this is a window into, and we can move on to get to the offense here, but this is a window into just more of where the football I grew up on is more like a little bit more conservative.
And Nick, I'm a defensive guy, and I'd be the type that would be probably less. If it's not the fourth quarter, I'm not using my timeouts very. I mean, like that's where I'm like I'm a like we're gonna make them make mistakes managing the clock versus like stop it. You know what I mean? So like it's not the end of the world. I don't think that was a blunder necessarily. I just think it was definitely pro offense thing.
Right. Offense in the first half here. So again, here's the hard part. When I rewatched it this morning, the offense wasn't as bad as I remembered it. But again, it was against an FCS team.
Yeah.
And the hard part is they only had 4 possessions in the first half. So there wasn't a whole lot to like. It felt like Nebraska's defense was on the field the entire first half.
Yeah.
So the 4 possessions were the first drive of the game. You had the 20-yard touchdown run from Anthony Grant, which we'll get into Anthony Grant because I need to issue a formal apology to that guy because holy shit, he's fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, real good. But sneaky big play on that drive real quick was Nebraska was kind of pinned deep and there was a 3rd and 11 picked up to Alante Brown to start that drive that was huge. Where Nebraska was going to go 3 and out, and it was going to be 3 bad plays.
Yeah.
So big play from Alante Brown. But so drive number 1, Grant 20-yard touchdown run as they drove down. Drive number 2, you had Casey Thompson's sack fumble. Drive number 3, Nebraska's 3 and out and punts. And then drive number 4 was the 12-play, 61-yard drive that resulted in a missed field goal. Yeah. So it really was the second and the third possessions that were killer for any offensive rhythm and any offensive flow. Especially the second possession was the 1-play, 13-second possession fumble that came right after the blocked punt. Where, speaking of a guy that was Frank the Tank beer bonging, what was Wyatt Lever doing?
It's hard to understand. Just get away from the ball. I mean, just get away from it. Like, don't like, was he going to hand it to the ref?
I don't know what I truly don't know what he was doing. I don't know if did he think he was on the punt team and he wanted to down it? Did he think he could maybe somehow like grab it and run?
I don't know.
I have no idea what he was doing.
That was one of those, Nick, that, they like reviewed it for a long time. And I was sitting there going, if we
block a punt
and we like, I mean, Nick, like people would lose their minds.
Well, you know what it was? It was, remember last year? It was that simultaneous joint possession. Remember against Michigan, that call we'd never really heard before, the simultaneous possession, and in simultaneous possession, it goes to the receiving team.
Yeah. I mean, and not to mention like the Cam Taylor-Britt fumble, but then the next week it bounced and like nicked him. It nicked one of our guys or something because we didn't call Peter well enough.
Right.
Like when those things start, I mean, that's the stuff that you just go like, fans start. So the fact that we lucked out there, I mean, Nick, that psychologically would have been terrible.
But it's frustrating because, you have you have a potential big momentum swing here. Block punts are huge momentum swings.
I know.
And then Wyatt Lever having a brain fart kind of got they had to go review it. It took all the air out. Then Casey Thompson gets sacked and fumbled. So you have good field position.
Nick, I don't know what it was about this game. There were so many like long TV breaks, and then they'd like come out of the TV break and be like, and we want to review that now. And you're like, what have you been doing?
I know it was. I don't. So it kind of stunted the game flow of the momentum there. Yeah. And then Casey Thompson gets sacked and fumbles. By the way, Teddy P got lit up.
Okay, so and that bothered me because he's our best lineman, and I mean this is bad. This is the O line and the D line versus North Dakota is where I'm a little concerned because it seemed to me like we had a clear size and athleticism advantage.
Right.
And I don't know what it was, but like these like undersized guys were kind of like doing what they wanted against us at times. And I go, that's the part that I think if we look at everything that happened, that's the most concerning of anything. Like if you can't just turn and hand the ball
totally.
By 4 quarters, it's just so clear that it just feels like, man, they can't play with us. That's the stuff I go, man, like we really are missing something.
Totally agree. That still is, as I rewatch the game, the thing I kept having to remind myself, like if Teddy P's getting blown up by North Dakota's defensive end.
He was a small guy,
He's a small guy. And I'm talking, he blew his ass up.
Yeah.
What is going to happen when you play Michigan or Wisconsin?
I don't know.
I mean, that's scary. And then same thing even for Grant, who again, we'll have our state of the apology tour here to Anthony Grant, at least I will. Like he turned of his 180 yards rushing, there was not a lot there for some of those runs that he just made things happen. Yeah. Okay, you can run away from Johnny Fargo. Well, what happens when it's Michael 5-star or Johnny 4-star? Like
if there's not much room against North Dakota, there will be no room.
Zero room.
Yeah.
And if you try to bounce it or whatever, it's just real quick. Also on the 4th drive, I misremember that Nebraska was really driving the ball well down the field. Yeah. Again, I said 12 plays, 61-yard drive. And then it's amazing how there was a false start on 1st down when Nebraska got to the 22-yard line, and it just got him behind the sticks, and it killed the drive. And that was a play where Casey Thompson almost threw a pick.
Yeah.
But then Bleak Road came out and missed the field goal. But so in the first half, we went way long on the first half there. Total yards, North Dakota, 173 yards, Nebraska, 147. To your point about, hey, this is North Dakota, it's like, yikes. Time of possession, North Dakota had the ball for 20 minutes and 38 seconds. Nebraska had the ball for 9 minutes and 9 seconds.
Dude, that's the killer to me. Is like we need, like, we can't, like, we'll never, like, this is a game where we won this game getting killed on time of possession. I promise you the rest of the year, that if that number is the same, it will be an L. Like, we have to hold on to this ball because I don't think our defense is what they were last year. Last year, we kind of got away with being able to leave those guys out there a lot. I mean, we still didn't win a lot of games, but we were in position to win games if we would have just finished on offense. I mean, this defense, if they're out there all year, it's going to be a long year.
Yes.
We got to hold on to the ball.
The time of possession in the first 2 games, I mean, dramatic difference. Halftime, real quick, be honest with me. Did you think Nebraska was going to win at halftime?
I did.
I did not.
You thought we were going to lose?
I thought and maybe it was just, I couldn't help it. Like, is this how it ends? Like I was entertaining that. I'm like, this doesn't look good.
I'll tell you what, we can't pretend that if we lost that game, things would have gone nuclear. If we lose that game, as much as like we played bad and still won, if we lose that game, Nebraska fan base hits the nuclear. I think they hit the nuclear button.
It's why, but I don't know if you listened to one of the podcasts I did in early August. I ranked Nebraska's schedule in terms of most important game to least important game. And people can roll their eyes all they want. And they did it at the time when they listened to the pod. But now that game came and went, you know what game I had number 1 was North Dakota.
You did?
I did. I swear.
Over Northwestern?
Yes, because you could survive. I viewed it through the lens, what is the least, like, what outcome, if Nebraska loses game X, is it the biggest bleep storm?
Yes, but I also think if you lose to Northwestern and then if you beat Northwestern and then lose to North Dakota, I think it's like you've bought yourself a little breathe. Like, I think a loss and a loss was the nuclear button. I think it had to be consecutive. You know how, like,
well, yeah, that's
you have two guys turn the keys to hit the nuclear code.
Well, I know
you had to have both turn.
Well, I know that's what's hard
but
about it.
It had to be 1 and 2.
Well, that I just said I put the two most important games were North Dakota and Georgia Southern, because you just could not lose those games, or it is key blow it up.
Turn on 3, 1, 2, 3, turn. Hit the button.
That's what it would have been. So now that game's come and gone and you saw it, if they had lost that game, it was over, Bo. It was over.
I really, like, as sad as it to say, like, if you lose the first two and you lose the second game in North Dakota, like we were, it was a slight chance of happening.
I thought things looked pretty bleak at half.
Even though it was 7-7, like, I go, okay.
I just thought the longer they hung in there, the
something
more
catastrophic would have had to happen. But, like, when there is that sort of, like, when the talent is that much more on your side, time is usually your friend.
See, but here's what's amazing, and maybe being there gave it the bigger difference. The scary thing about the first half was you couldn't really tell who was the FCS team and who the Big Ten team was.
No.
Which is scary.
But see, I think, like,
now in the second half, you could.
Yeah, as time goes on, like, we can lean on them, and then what happens is, like, by the fourth quarter goes bang, 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 38-17. Like,
totally.
If you would have just, like, you weren't allowed to watch this game, and at the end of it, I said, here's the score, 30, you'd been like, nice.
Yeah, kick the butt.
Take the win.
Right.
38-17 is not a bad. No. I mean, it's like, oh, we gave a little more than we wanted.
I predicted 41-17 on our wine pod. So, like, I thought it ended up, like, close to what I thought it would be.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's more about the state of where we're at.
Right.
Like, we've got the girlfriend that cheated on us, and now every girl we don't trust.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So bunch of cheats, bunch of lying, cheating.
Bunch of lying cheaters, man. Saw you on Cheaters, the show Cheaters.
Yeah.
Okay, here comes the third quarter. Now we'll hammer through these, but here we're going to kind of go drive by drive because there's important game flow stuff. Really, really good first drive. Huge to come out, and you had to come out and set the tone. Yeah. Clearly had a great scheme route combination. You have a 34-yard pass to Trey Palmer. Great call. 2 plays later, you have an incredible run by Grant where, again, it was literally nothing. He escapes for 8-9 yards. Grant then picked up another first down. And then all of a sudden, and we'll get to this, who called the plays in the second half? Because here comes an option. And Casey Thompson keeps it, gets a first down.
Because he got asked that. So here's what I did not look at the whole game. I never once looked at the coaches.
Well, okay.
I never looked, because this is where the TV copy might have been better. I never looked at, did they give a sideline, like, who's calling to play? Like,
well, here's the thing. So I was going to do this at the end, but we might as well do it now because it was really interesting. I'm just going to do it. Just do it. Just go for it.
Do it.
I immediately text my brother at the start of the second half. And I said, am I tripping, or does Frost have a play sheet in his hands and he didn't in the first half? And my brother texts me and goes, he did not have a play sheet in the first half. Frost in the second half had a play sheet, had a pen, even had his reading glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way he answered the question after the game, I wrote down the quote. He was asked who called plays in the first half and who called plays in the second half. Frost said, quote, I'm not ever going to get into that. All I'll say is we got a lot of smart people on the staff, and the more we can cooperate, the better we'll be.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about that. Does it even matter? That's where I we're making this into a thing.
Yeah, what's different? They're trying to win. They're trying to win football games.
That's
right?
where that's where I can't decide if I'm succumbing to, like, the
drama.
drama.
Do you want the drama, or does it matter? Right?
That's why I want everybody to sincerely ask themselves because I'm not saying I'm looking down my nose at the people. It's like, what's up with you guys and talking about this?
Nick, they want drama.
But I'm saying I'm succumbing to it too. I was thinking about that. I text my brother at halftime. I wondered who was calling the plays, but then I sit there and go, like, does it really matter? As long as there isn't anything contentious and anything like there's a bit like Whipple and Frost walk by each other in the hall and they like hit each other and
yeah.
Watch where you're going, Whip.
Yeah.
You know, and like, or like, as long as there's not any drama, which I don't know if there is. I mean, but I just don't like, I don't think people like, you're just trying to win the game.
It's like if the head coach wants to call plays, like
he's the head coach.
Yeah. He's the coach.
Right. Like to me, even if you're Mark Whipple, now again, there's a fine line between micromanaging and helping. You see, you know what I'm saying? Like as long as there is an element of trust and all that between Frost and Whipple, I think this is much ado about nothing.
I mean, the offensive coordinator still has a job. Like his job is to like get the game plan.
Right.
But like if the coach wants to call plays, he can call like
he's the head coach.
It's the head coach. It doesn't matter. So I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. I mean, Scott Frost, that's what he does too. Like he's a
I just don't know. I just don't know if it again, as long as there is just there's some it's not anything where both guys feel angry at each other, because there has been, I will say there've been like the whole thing as long as we can cooperate and stuff like there's been little things like that are like, well, are you saying that you're not cooperating, or I don't know. I'm just saying. I think
remember we talked about Scott Frost is very uncomfortable right now. It seems seemingly, I don't know. He seemed like he wasn't comfortable not calling plays.
Well, and here's the thing. The other reason I think he called plays in the second half, I thought especially that first drive looked like a Frost drive to me. But because, by the way, the next play after the option was a nice little a little play action hit Borkacher right over the middle for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But here's what we know. Investigative Nick is here. Here's what we know.
Excuse making Nick.
We have excuse making Nick. Investigative Nick. He did not have a play sheet in the first half. He had one in the second half.
Yeah.
And then the other zoom out thing is you wonder if Frost, as he ran off the field at halftime, as he's getting booed, if he goes,
I'm going down my
it's 7-7 against North Dakota. This is it.
Yeah.
If we are going to lose, we're going down with me calling the plays. Yeah. Or at the very least, I'm going to get more heavy-handed in what we're doing offensively.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if we're making this a thing, and I don't know if it needs to be.
It doesn't have to be a negative, right? Like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative. If, if there's a change in how they are calling plays, like that shouldn't be like viewed in a way that's like negative, right? It's like, it should only be viewed as, is this going to help us be better? Like the only reason you'd have a problem with it is if it made us a worse team. Like, I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't know either.
Zero idea.
I just don't know. I mean, if you're an offensive coordinator, and again, it's all in like the micromanaging versus helping, but if you're an offensive coordinator and if you're Whipple and Frost comes and goes, hey, here's what I'm seeing. XYZ, LMNOP, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And like, I think we can hit him with this, and it helps you. Whip's probably like, great.
Yeah.
I mean, because Whip just wants to win too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Nick, I think if you're not in those rooms, you don't know. Like, I have no idea.
I don't know either, but I think it's clear that either Frost called the plays in the second half or just had more of an input on the play calls. I don't know if it really matters.
Is he really more focused on the run stuff?
I don't know.
Because I kind of gotten the sense in the offseason was like he was more like in the run stuff and Whip was going to be more in the pass stuff.
Because I do think, and Frost even talked about this, like where they're still working through all this stuff. Like that's where they're still figuring out the best marriage of how they're wedding the two.
Yeah, because there was some of the motion
into blocking and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I don't know if it fully matters.
It is interesting though that like no play sheet. Like that's definitely more involved.
That seems like more involved. I don't know if it fully matters, but it's almost like I'm a hip hop guy. Like, Dre's in the studio with Snoop and says, instead of saying this, say that.
Yeah.
Who cares if it makes the song better?
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Well, hold on, Snoop. Did you write that? Like, nah, my homie Dre wrote it. You know what I'm saying? I was going to say 1, 2, 3 into the 5. He said 1, 2, 3 to the 5. That's how we did it. But as long as it makes the song better, why does it really
doesn't matter? That's the point. Like, we don't need to create drama if it doesn't matter, right? The only drama that matters is like drama that like negatively affects.
And we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, to go all Colin Cowherd, be like, I'm not Visa or MasterCard. I'm not in the credit business.
Yeah.
We all need to get out of the credit business on who called what play or whatever. So, okay. But 6-play, 75-yard touchdown to start the third quarter. Nebraska up 14-7. North Dakota comes back out. Okay. You had your very first 3rd and 12, where North Dakota quarterback did a really good job of buying time, finds a guy down the field for a first down. But a couple plays later, it's Ultimate Warrior time.
Shake the ropes!
Shaking the ropes!
I mean, he was on one in the every play was like dancing
he's got a real interesting there's a lot of finger guns, a lot of finger pointing. He had a ton of energy.
Yeah.
But so he gets the strip sack fumble. Stephon Wynn recovers. And his stats weren't great, the Ultimate Warriors, but he really played well. He was all over the place.
Yeah, he pressured the quarterback a lot.
Yes.
He was hustling. He played really hard. But I mean, that strip sack was huge just for the mentality. The whole team, I think, they saw one of their leaders like make a big time play, like a big boy in the moment play. I think that play probably, as much as Trey Palmer's catch we'll get to, like that play won us the game as much as that.
Yes. Yeah. No question about it. So then Nebraska takes over. First play, another amazing Anthony Grant play where they had the bobbled exchange.
Yeah.
Nothing's there. And Grant somehow runs for 17 yards.
Yeah.
Like incredible. And then 2 plays later, you had back-to-back passes along the sideline, and we didn't get a replay on it. Did Marcus Washington straight up drop the one? You probably don't remember clear enough, but
I thought he caught it.
Well, no, I'm talking about this was second half. It was down the sidelines towards the end zone on the North Dakota sideline. Washington, I thought, dropped it. And the very next play, they threw it to Chancellor Brewington.
Oh, Chancellor
Brewington came in the game and you need me to run a flag? No problem at all.
Oh.
So Chancellor Brewington, but that was a play where he clearly, I thought, got targeted.
He did.
The North Dakota guy missiled him and they reviewed it.
Let me just tell you something. The only explanation would be is that they didn't have enough camera angles, because like when in the history of the last 3 years, if somebody gets decapitated on a bang bang and his head goes back, and it was a high, he came high.
Yes.
When have they removed the target?
I've just very rarely seen when it goes to a review. I feel like more often than not, when it's reviewed, it's
But it was just interesting. Day we missed in all of our reviews. I mean, it was just a weird day.
So then Bleak Road comes out and makes a 46-yard field goal. So now Nebraska's up 17-7. Can Nebraska seize control of the game? This was a disappointing drive.
Yeah.
Second down for North Dakota, 62-yard run where homeboy basically got untouched until he got inside the 10-yard line.
And that's the stuff that, like, that kind of play right there, you've got the game in a great position and you find a way to just like give up, and like that is the sign of a team that has a long ways to go to me. Yeah. Like no different than the North Dakota, the Northwestern bust where we're upset like 14-3 and we give up. We give up that easy touchdown, right? Like we get a full, just untouched sprint down the field where I go, like, what are we doing? Where is the urgency to finish the game and just be sound?
Because it was clear, especially rewatching it, Nebraska had North Dakota on the ropes and was ready to completely grab a hold of the game. Give up a 62-yard run. Now, I will say, good on the black shirts for they hold North Dakota to a field goal. They stand tall. North Dakota makes a 23-yard field goal, so now it's 17-10, but still a disappointing drive for the defense. The ensuing kickoff, Nebraska's kickoff return, there was a miscommunication between Anthony Grant and Jacob Winemaster. I think his first name's Jacob, but he was whining that he wanted the ball, and Grant ran over. It looked like it was
the wine pod.
The wine pod's brought to you by Jacob Winemaster. But it looked like it was clearly to Winemaster, and Grant came like, I got it.
I think Grant's like, I'm having a great day. No, Anthony, slow down.
I mean, it was clearly to Winemaster.
It was Winemasters, yeah. But that's just simple, like Nick. Like just being really good at communicate, like
right.
If you can communicate, most of like the bonehead mistakes go away, and we still are like we're still not quite there with that.
So here's why this is important. Here's more game flow stuff. So they bobble it, they got to jump on it, and Nebraska gets bad field position. They start at the 17-yard line. Bizarre time to put Gabe Ervin in the game. I love this is where it's not about Gabe Ervin. Like, that's why you got to like separate the two. I'm not anti-Gabe Ervin, but it feels like a weird time to put Gabe Ervin into the game at running back for the first time the entire
What's hard though is like
Grant was rolling.
But Grant had just had like he had a pretty long drive. He made some good runs. Maybe that's your time to give him a break. So I get like rotating running backs is okay. I feel like they want not Grant. They want Ervin to be the number 2, but it's AJ Allen is kind of like, for whatever reason, they feel better with Allen a lot of the time. So I do think like that's between Allen and Ervin, who the number 2 isn't clear yet. But poor Ervin
again
has just gotten a bad. Every time he's been in the game, he's either had no holes or it's been like a backed up situation. He's had a really like unfortunate start to his careers in terms of like the opportunities have been bad.
The opportunities have been bad. Then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And now because all of a sudden he gets a swing pass and he drops it.
And then you just don't see, he gets one run.
Then the next down, he gets a handoff and it's just stuffed crust pizza everywhere.
I know, but the dropped kickoff leaves us backed up, which makes everybody a little bit more nervous. And Ervin
gets stuffed,
and then Ervin gets a drop pass. Then he gets we're out of rhythm officially.
And then here comes third down, and Casey Thompson throws an interception. It looked like it was pretty good disguise. They had a guy over the nose. It was a backer. And then he dropped into coverage, and I don't know if Casey never saw him.
They say with tall offensive linemen and a short quarterback, sometimes it's like those guys that drop from right underneath. It's hard to see.
I could see that.
Because your eyes are down the field, and those guys like don't come in
and that linebacker really that was a way above his head pick.
Yep.
Because Casey doesn't look tall. I'd love to stand next to Casey. He does not.
He might be shorter than 6 foot.
That's what I was saying. He does not. If he's 6 foot, he looks like he's close. I guess he looks like he's closer to 5'11" than 6'1".
Yeah.
But in any event,
but this is where I'm such a believer in this. The drop kickoff and the drop swing pass, like those plays are as responsible for the interception as anything.
Yes,
like
it's how Nebraska has been.
It's this like series of bad plays lead to worse plays. Series of good plays lead to better plays.
That's why I wanted to go drive by drive here to talk about, because I think it's important to point out these game flow things that seem to,
when you drop the kickoff and we're pinned now on the 10 instead of being on the 25. Like offense's playbook shrinks
and people's sphincter tight a little bit. And so boom, interception. So now it's 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. 2 plays later, North Dakota's running back goes untouched up the middle again, which is just like, yikes, guys, yikes. And so now in a span of 90 seconds, North Dakota has scored 10 points, and it is tied 17-17 with 4 minutes left in the third quarter.
And Husker fans took the keys off, and they were holding them.
They're ready to nuclear submarine, blow it up. I mean, they're ready to I mean, at this point, it is.
There were some people sitting behind me and my wife at the game, and my wife was not happy with it.
Was she ready to?
She was ready to say something, because these guys were running their mouth in a way that was like, It wasn't just like disrespectful.
Was she about
it
to
was
snap
like,
and hit him with the neck?
I mean, like I was just like, easy girl, easy. And she doesn't. I mean, she's not.
No,
nice.
I know she's
But
not.
it's just
Court's
like,
the sweetest
there
girl
are
in the world.
people that
Oh,
just
you can
like,
feel it.
that are so. It was almost like they became anti-Nebraska in a weird way. I'm
It
like,
felt like
weird.
This is where I felt like they were going to lose at half, and then when this happened, you start really going, is like, is this where it ends? Is this where the Scott Frost era?
Think about how bad of a mindset
I
that
know
is for fans. That's terrible. We're watching games just like
you think it's like it's over. This is it.
Instead of being like, I know we're gonna win. I know we're gonna win. Oh,
right.
Even though we I know we're gonna. That's a good mindset. We have bad mindsets right now.
Right. So now
we are the jaded girlfriend.
Yes, it's 17-17. Anthony Mother and Grant. Because Nebraska comes out, they run 4 plays. They have a good run by Grant. There's another good run by Grant. They get stuffed, and they had a first down pass to Omar Manning, and then a 46-yard touchdown run by Anthony Grant. That was just an amazing jump cut. It didn't look like anything was there. He looked elusive. He looked like he was fast. I mean, when he jump cut, it was like, he hit that sideline, boy. It was,
I think Tom Chattel in the paper said he's fast, but it's all strain, and it's not like he's not like a glider, but he's fast, but he's working on it.
There's some guy like who is a glider. Like Amon Green was a little bit of a glider.
Like Eric Dickerson was like,
but he looks like, I mean, it's really it is one of those like.
But he can run. He doesn't get ran down. That's the thing. Is like he's not like a slow guy.
It was an amazing jump cut, but like, so when he got the jump cut and you could see he was going to get the sideline, I was like, I don't know if he's going to score here. But then homeboy hit the Kawasaki with the let him go. Hot damn, there he goes. But
the remote control car.
So what an amazing, I mean, Anthony Grant, God damn,
okay,
what an answer.
This is what I don't know. Because we got to talk about this guy now. You've been holding on.
Do you want to?
I got to talk.
Okay.
Is Anthony Grant
a baller?
Or have we just had such bad running back play for 3 years that a good player is hard to even like he's a good player.
Yes.
I don't know if he's a great running back. I think he's a good running back. I just know that he's so much better than what we've seen the last 3 years. We've had terrible running back play for 3 straight years, Nick. That's where I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know for sure that we got the guy. I think we got a guy. Like we got a guy. It's pretty good. But is he going to be a dude?
Well, and there's to build off of that too. There's a difference between, I mean, he lit up North Dakota. Not trying to take anything away from him.
He got 100 against Northwestern.
Yes.
He got 100 against Northwestern. He got 189. So like 200-yard games starts building a resume where I'm going to go, okay,
I think he's pretty good.
He's got my attention. He's got my full attention right now.
And I feel bad because I left the first Northwestern game kind of thinking.
That's why I
went on one date with him. It went okay. No kiss goodnight. Things got a little awkward. We had dessert. I wanted to share the cheesecake. He wanted his own tiramisu.
What about the second date, though?
The second date, oh, man. We went and had a great steak and let's just
something
say
happened?
It got hot and
you're saying something happened.
Things got hot and heavy.
Whoa, so you're definitely seeing him again.
So there's going to be a third date with Anthony Grant.
For sure.
But so I don't know.
When's
with you.
When's he going to meet your parents? That's what I want.
Well, after last night, I called you after he dropped me off. And I said, I think I have the one here.
You think he's the one?
No. I haven't felt this way since the mirror. I have not felt this.
I know it was hard losing the mirror, but...
So, I'm with you. Like, he looked great because it's been since a mirror.
Yeah. Since
you saw Nebraska have a running back, there were numerous plays where there was nothing there.
Yeah. He made something out of nothing.
I mean, the 46-yard touchdown run, every other running back over the last 3 years would have just like gotten a 4-yard gain.
Yeah.
Homeboy housed that bitch.
That's the difference between potentially winning and losing.
Yes.
It's like you got to have your better players make plays.
Yes.
And win games for you instead of like relying. You can't always rely on like we're going to out scheme them on every play, and out execute them on every play. Sometimes you leave yourself. You just got to have a guy make plays.
Totally agree, because you just
cleans up the times you don't.
Absolutely. But so huge answer from Nebraska, because now Nebraska leads 24-17 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third quarter. It ended up not being a big deal, but there's a penalty on North Dakota on the field goal, which is assessed on the kickoff.
Yeah.
Here comes Nebraska's kickoff. Brendan Franke has had quite the first two games. Frost said after the game that when there's a penalty on the field goal, the PAT, they want to squib it and try to pin him inside the 20. Brendan Franke kicks a line drive right at a North Dakota player, and North Dakota recovers it and takes over at their 33. And now it's another moment where like people are excited about the run, and you could hear it on TV. It's somehow some guy's voice picked up clear. He goes, "What are you doing?" You can hear it clear as day.
But this is one you need, like the same reason we talk about you need to sleep on it for a day. Sleep on it and then think about it. So I did. Like it took me a night where I thought about this morning and went, okay, let's think about this. You get 15 yards, you kick it out of the end zone, right? You get the ball goes on the 25.
Yeah, it's only 8.
The worst thing that happened on that, like the worst way to do that squib kick is hitting the guy that we hit, and they got in the 33. It's an 8-yard difference. It's not a huge difference, right? So the right play is to squib it.
No, I'm not.
Squib it good, though. Squib it correctly, and you have a chance to pin them, which I think you should do.
Totally.
So it took me, because Nick, in the moment, I went, why don't you just kick it out of the end zone? I thought that on the field. I go, right now. But then I thought, man, I always want to make the right play. What is the right play is squibbing it.
Right.
So I think we are just, it just shows you like we're just so emotionally wrecked. We can't think straight.
Well, that's
the right play, but we can't think straight.
Yes. Let me make it clear. I'm with you. When it first happened, my first thought was like, oh my God, did they try to onside kick it again? But then you watch it again and you go, no, that's a squib just went awry.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the squib. It just was poor execution. It just showed it. The problem was just, again, it was like that, like Nebraska tripping over themselves, even though it wasn't that big of a deal, because like you said, it was going to be an 8 yard, so it wasn't that big a deal. It was more about just like, God, can't do another, like, can you guys do anything right?
But see, that's more like, this kick, like that's why we should have never onside it, because this guy can't freaking do it.
Brendan Franke.
He can't do it.
Brendan Franke, if he was a waiter, he'd be like, all right, take those 12 beers over the table for all right.
And the manager's like, you sure you want Frankie to be the guy bringing those over? Like,
Fumbling Frankie?
What's the worst that could happen?
Fumbling Frankie's never delivered a beer on time in 14 days. You think he's going to deliver an entire 12-pack to a guy?
We've been tracking
Frankie.
Slips, drops, breaks, spills, and food wrong orders. And I got to say, since Frankie started, there's been a lot more. We don't know who it is, but we think we get a hunch here.
Give me a break, Frankie. Sheesh. But Frankie's having a rough season so far. Sheesh. But Nebraska forces a 3-and-out even after that. So it's a punt. So it's not a big deal. It's just like, it's another like,
the drop kickoff, the interception, this squib.
It's just more like you think you're ready to take control, and then you just.
This is why Nebraskans that were there and watched feel like they lost, but we really won.
Right.
Because
it's just these kinds of plays.
So stressed, and we keep doing this. Instead of making it an easy day for them, it was a stressful day. So it's more about how it looked and not what the actual results.
So Nebraska, again, 3-and-out punt, minute to go in the third quarter. And again, maybe I'm just like, I am that guy that's just, I've always felt like my blind spot, if I were a head coach, especially in basketball, but the same thing for football, would be subbing. Seeing the value in, like, if I were a basketball coach, I would have like a 6-man rotation and I would be tight.
Yeah.
Why is Anthony Grant not in the game? Now, I know he just had a 46-yard run, but like, you're that tired? You're that tired.
I don't know.
Because then he's not in the game. He's killing North Dakota. But it's A.J. Allen in the game. A.J. Allen comes in. He gets stuffed. Casey Thompson scrambles for a first down, but there's a flag on the play. Nate Borkature gets a holding, so it backs him up. Then it's the end of the third quarter. It gets to 3rd and 15, and they call Casey Thompson for intentional grounding.
Yeah.
Now, what's hard is it looked like they were trying to set up a screen for A.J. Allen, but he tripped and fell. A.J. Allen was there, but I think the fact that he fell made it harder for the refs to see. And then I will say,
Thompson's throw was too. You got to send it more to the receiver. He just threw it straight.
It was closer to straight down than out at all. Yeah. It was a bad throw for Thompson.
Yeah, if you're going to throw it away, you got to sell it a little bit.
Right. So I know that's where I wanted to give him a break, but it's like, man, that's I'm sure you don't like QB drills. Let's work on intentional grounding throws. All right. Getting a line. Like, you're not working on that, but it's like, come on, Casey. Like, what was that throw?
It was just,
It was terrible. So 4th and 15, got a punt. Now, North Dakota gets the rock. This is where my boy O'Shawn Mathis finally shows up.
I was so hoping they were going to play Mathis.
I was
waiting. I was literally waiting there going, are they going to play Mathis got sacks?
I know.
I thought they were going to.
My Twitter just blew up when it happened because second down, Mathis gets a sack, which was just exciting. Then you get to 3rd and 13. It's an incomplete pass. Now North Dakota has to punt. So another good stand here for the defense. Nebraska takes over, own 10-yard line with 11 minutes left. This is the game. It's 24-17.
Yeah.
There is a late hit on North Dakota on Casey Thompson. Again,
picked up.
Looked like targeting.
Picked up.
And they review it. No targeting. Huge, because instead of the ball being at the 10, it would have been at the 25, but it stays at the 10. Nebraska gets stuffed running the ball up the middle. Then there's a false start by Bryce Benhart.
One of the BB boys?
Okay. One of the BBs. One of the BG's BBs backed him up. And then this is the biggest play, arguably the biggest play of the game. 3rd and 14. 10 minutes and 15 seconds left from Nebraska's own 7-yard line. Casey Thompson, 31 yards. Trey Palmer, high points it. Wasn't even that good of a throw, but Palmer makes a play, catches it. Huge play.
I don't know why every time I see Trey Palmer, I just think, Trey Palmer, got to go. He's just like, he'd be the guy in the football, the college football movie that's just like the typical, like, fast, cool wide receiver.
Fast, cool.
Go.
Yes. Like, walk it. Yes, exactly. Like, is there ever a moment where Trey Palmer isn't really cool? He just looks like he's a cool dude.
So I just, every time I say Trey Palmer, got to go,
But what a play. Oh. And then honestly, it felt like that play broke North Dakota's spirit because it's seemingly that was the play.
Yeah.
Because if that play's stuffed and Nebraska's got a punt and they're punting from their own end zone, who knows
and the
what
pressure
happens.
Cranks up.
It's 31-24.
That play is, and here's what I'll tell you. In support of Casey Thompson, what I've seen from him this year, I think his demeanor and his mindset, he's been backed up. He's had some 3rd and longs and some tough positions where he looks very comfortable making the play on those types, sitting in the pocket,
right,
holding in tight and throwing. Like, he's threw a couple of the, you mentioned the Alante Brown throw. He just seems to be a cool customer when the chips are down. I think that's one of the things that gives me the most hope over anything. Is it like Casey Thompson seemingly he's not scared. And I don't think he's scared of the moment. Trey Palmer is a real threat. Anthony Grant is a player.
Yes.
Those 3 things give me a lot of hope for this year. And it's crazy because these guys weren't on our team
a year ago.
Yeah. And so now it's all of a sudden like a lot of our hopes for this season are riding on those 3 days.
Well, and you can even argue that the Nebraska's second 2 best receivers are 2 guys that weren't here last year now, and Marcus Washington and Garcia Castaneda, even though Garcia Castaneda didn't do much in this game, but Marcus Washington had a couple of good catches.
Those are the 3 guys that are going to be really playing. And, we're all excited about Omar. I mean, Omar Manning's going to be a role player on this team, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he caught 2 balls. It's fine. But
he's going to be a role guy. He's going to come in. He's going to block a little bit. He's going to catch a couple of select routes. But those guys are going to be the majority of the targets. Alante Brown a little bit. Oliver Martin a little bit. And then your boy, Vokalek
coming back. Yeah. I know. But so that play happens, and then it just feels like the levee broke. Like all of a sudden Nebraska was just running the ball. It literally seemed like North Dakota.
They held on for as long as they could.
And then they let go of the rope, and it was just done.
But that's my point on when, you're the better team, you want the game to be as long as possible, and you want the game, the more time, the better, because eventually the bigger, better athlete should win in football.
Because that's where all of a sudden it was like Nebraska was just gashing North Dakota up there. So they go, a couple, 5-6 plays later, Nebraska scores. It was an 11-play, 89-yard drive that lasted 4 minutes and 25 seconds. The next, North Dakota comes out, 5 plays, turnover on downs. Nebraska, 6 plays, then a touchdown to...
Did somebody say goal line?
You want me play action? You want me to block? Oh, you don't need me to block. I'll get to catch it. Wonderful.
I think I was absolutely dying when he scored. I went, yes, we get to talk about Chancellor Brewington the third.
Chancellor Brewington the third. He was over there with his pipe and a robe. And
Does somebody say goal line?
You need me in the goal line? No problem at all. All right, here we go. He scored. Jeeves, my helmet, please.
Bring the car. I'll be scoring a touchdown, and I'll see you in just a minute. So easy.
Jeeves, he has his own butler who brings him his helmet and brings the car.
He brings him a silver platter. Like,
Chancellor, your helmet, please.
Thank you, Jeeves.
Thank you, Jeeves. I'm ready to go. All right.
Did somebody say goal line?
Say goal line, huh?
So 38-17, final score. You kind of went there with it. Quite simply, if you go, how did Nebraska win this game? Nebraska won the game because, and this has been my point over the last handful of years with things. There's a lot of things that lead to winning close games. Discipline, special teams, all those kinds of things. But you know what helps win close games is Anthony Grant having a 46-yard touchdown run. Good player, just being a baller. You know what else helps is when the game's on the line and you need someone to go make a play and high point a ball to gain 31 yards to Trey Palmer helps. Like Nebraska won the game because of Anthony Grant, Trey Palmer. You could throw Garrett Nelson in there.
Yeah.
So this is where I've always pushed back. Here's the thing. When you don't have great players, your margin for error is so little. And that's what is a part of, to me, what has been the problem over the first 4 years for Nebraska is they don't have, in these big moments, they haven't had guys step up and just go win the game. The main game, your sophomore year?
Yeah.
You guys are on the ropes a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what? Bo Ruud, pick 6, we're winning the game. Everybody calm down.
Yeah.
Iowa State, you had that 92-yard pit. It does. Great players have to make it big plays, and that's what helps you win these kinds of games. And I get that it's against North Dakota, but I think that game perfectly captures Nebraska was no more disciplined or undisciplined than they've been.
Yeah.
No more better on special teams than they've been. But what the difference was is they had the 2 best players on the field were Anthony Grant and Trey Palmer.
Yeah.
And they won the game.
I just think, and Casey Thompson. I think Casey Thompson, he threw the one pick and he got strip sacked, but he made a few of those throws that you're backed up, you throw deep outs. And
right.
Those are plays I recognize going, man, I don't think those are easy throws.
Right.
Those are throws that are hard under pressure, stay in the pocket. Those guys give me hope. Those guys with a team that if it can progress and come together, we can be very competitive in the Big Ten. I don't know that we're at this point can talk about winning the Big Ten West. I don't think we should even start there, but can we be competitive and can this team and this coaching staff survive to the next year? Essentially, that's a better goal right now. Bowl game, 6-7 wins. like be competitive in your division. Like that's a better goal than like we want to win the West, because like you gotta crawl before you can walk, and you gotta walk before you can run. Like let's crawl, let's walk, then let's run.
See, and this is what is so interesting, is because I thought Dirk had a really interesting column about after the game, just kind of talking about the things working against Frost are time, track record, and eye test.
Yeah.
And it's clear you listen to Frost after the game, and he's not wrong if you give him the benefit of the doubt of the moment of talking about. It's clear Frost kind of wants to, like with all these staff changes, all these new players, I think in Frost's eyes, he kind of wants to be like, we're starting over a little bit. And there's kind of like two diametrically opposed school of thoughts in a tug of war.
Yeah.
Is Nebraska starting over, and do we need to view them through the prism of this is almost, for lack of a better term, like, I don't want to say year one, because that'll, Husker Kool-Aid 85, he'd be like, man, no way.
Yeah.
But there's a part of things that like, is Nebraska kind of starting over, or are we trying to view this through the lens of, hey, it's year 5? Because that's the hard part about this. If we're viewing this through the lens of year 5, this is not going well so far. Because to me, through 2 games, they look like they are not as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
And but
can they win more games than they did?
They
last
maybe
year?
can win.
That's all I think that the focus should be on. It's like, it's not about just building the program. It is about wins this year. Like, we got to win. And I think that is the part where I think they are kind of starting over in a way, but like, you don't get the benefit of that.
See,
like,
I know that
it's the wins are going to be the determining factor. You can't win 3, you can't win 4. You got to win 6. I think you got to win 6.
Yes.
And so that's where I think that's more how I look at it, is like, look, they are starting over in a lot of ways. Like, this whole team is different. It's all transfers, and
this is exactly
new, the offensive staff's all new. So like, but you can't. There's no like patience we can do. Like right now, the fans aren't patient, because I take it as he hasn't lost hearts and minds yet. Frost is not. There are a few that he has, but until he loses everybody, like, I think he'll have a job.
That's kind of,
if you lose hearts and minds, that's, what can you do then?
Because the one
There's
thing,
no coming back from that. Right?
No, the thing that even Frost touched on after the game, when I think it was either Andy Kendi or someone asked him about, like, hey, you haven't won a game in 336 days. How much does it, you'd lost 7 in a row. Like, how good does it feel to just finally win? And his answer was like, I don't even look at it that way. This is a brand new team. Yeah. So I think his point in Frost's answer was like, this team is totally different than the team that lost 7 in a row at the end of the year, or 6 in a row at the end of the year. Yeah. That it's not necessarily about like getting the monkey off their back to win after this big streak.
But the
fans feel that way. So this is, and this was always kind of a part of it, but it's an interesting kind of dynamic that is creating here, where it's like, okay, are we viewing this like it's year 5? Yeah. And things should be like, you should start to be seeing that, things taken off? Or are we viewing this like this is 5 new coaches, a new offense, 15 new transfers, a bunch of new guys all over the field, Frost in a new role? How are we viewing this?
I would view it as
the latter,
brand new team. I think the fan base is not, for the most part. And so I think that's the unfortunate part. I think Frost probably goes, this is a new team. And
right.
It is like they're building, like he's trying to figure out like how they're going to call plays.
That's what
they're figuring things out. They really are like starting fresh in a lot of ways, but he's not going to have the fortune to be able to wait that long. Like,
right.
He's got to show improvement. He's got to show winning, like past 5 games quickly.
Right.
He just doesn't have the time.
Yeah. And I think, you bring up how Frost is trying to figure out how to make this work with Whipple. Like, I think sometimes we act like it's like, again, when Frost talks about that, he's maybe just being honest and like, listen, we're trying to figure it out. Like, it doesn't have to be that they're at odds. I think they're maybe trying to figure out how to best blend and work together and accentuate what Whipple does great with also what Frost does great. Yeah. I always push back on people, A lot of people took issue with some of his answers at Big Ten Media Days when asked that he was giving up play calling. And Frost kind of pushed back on that and saying like that he was still going to be involved. And there were some people that viewed that as, oh, God, you got to let Whipple do his thing, blah, 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 blah. And to me, it's like, listen, it's not like Frost became an idiot overnight. He still knows a lot about offense. And you have a guy who's a great resource offensively. Why would you not want to use him? And he's the head coach. So I just, it's hard because I thought Dirk's column hit it on the head where it's like there are just two schools or two lenses at which to view these things right now.
Yeah.
And depending on which lens you're viewing it is probably a window into how you feel about the moment right now.
Yeah. Now,
the scary thing is again, again, this was North Dakota.
The good part is we got one more,
non big time team.
Yeah. Like, I don't look past anybody like Georgia Southern. Like, I hope we play well. But we need these games to get better. Like I kind of wish we didn't have to play Northwestern to start out. I wish we'd had roast beef state.
Yeah.
And so you can just, build confidence, build this team, put this team together and, go from there. But we need another warm-up game. That's for sure.
Big time before then Oklahoma comes to town and then stuff gets real, in a hurry. Because that's the hard part also about watching, college football kicked off this weekend and you watch a lot of games and you just go, boy, Nebraska got a ways to go. And I'm not saying you're just watching Georgia kick Oregon's ass. You're like, I'm not even worried about like Georgia and like
Georgia's
Bama.
on another
and you're just like, I'm talking about like, I don't know if you watched the Penn State Purdue game.
I watched,
but you watch that game and you're like, Nebraska's not better than either of these teams.
That's what's hard. Yeah.
And you're like, Nebraska got to go to Purdue. Like I thought Purdue looked like they were better than Penn State, even though they lost.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Brom, his game management at the end of that game, the clock manager, I should say, was pretty bad. But yeah, so I mean, Nebraska won. It didn't go when we were talking about what you wanted to see. You wanted to see a stress-free, dominant game, and it certainly was not that. But it ends 38-17.
Yeah, I think we'll come back. In a year from now, and we'll look back in the season. All we'll care about is that was a W. That's the way where you really forget about how stressful it was. I mean, Fordham was a little stressful last year. We completely forgot about that. All we remember is that's one of our 3 wins, right? So I think positive, we got a W. We got to see a couple guys, Anthony Grant. We got to see, Trey Palmer. Like these guys are week after week, they're showing up. We know these guys can, potentially be like dudes on our team now. Let's hopefully they'll just continue this trend and keep getting better.
And totally agree. Grant, big positive. Palmer, big positive. I still think Casey Thompson's a good player.
Yeah.
And then you just hope that some of these missed tackles just become tackles. The guys are there, just got to bring them down.
Yeah. Go tackle the guy. I think we're just it seems like we're excited and antsy. We were running by people all
not
you gotta do is just freaking grab, hit them and grab them and hold on and get them down. Especially if it's third down, just get a hold of them.
Well, and again,
get them down.
Yeah, and this, because you were a captain, and then you when those guys aren't on the field, talking about Henrich and Vokalek, that makes a difference, And so that's the other thing to keep in mind. You're going to get Vokalek healthy probably this week, you would assume. Henrich, I mean, hopefully a couple of weeks he's back.
Yeah.
Because certainly Ernest Hausman is going to be a good player. The thought of him on the field for 80 plays against Oklahoma is a little scary, and that's not to denigrate him. He's a freshman.
He's 18 years old.
I mean, he's
young.
He's a
this
young dude.
Great experience for him, but you'd rather have him contributing, every third or fourth series rather than I got 80 plays, just because the more plays as a freshman has, the more, chances you're going to bust. And so I think, you want to get Henrich back. You want to get Vokalek, and then, just the black shirts need to they need to get it together.
Anything we're missing? Or do we about cover? We've got about 90 minutes.
Shirts, but
the O-line, we said it was a big game for the trenches, a little concerning again. The O-line couldn't now they ended up imposing their will late, but how the game went in the latter stages of the fourth quarter, you were hoping that that's what it would look like throughout the game, where Nebraska just blowing guys off the ball.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening.
I'll say this. Big time jet lag, big time disappointment. that flu that went through the team. Like, I'm hoping that another week.
That's what I'm hoping.
We should look a little fresher, a little crisper, a little bit more healthy. So we'll see how we come out against Georgia Southern, but I can't imagine it's gonna be worse than that. But
I hope not.
Hey, man. Nick, got a W.
Got a dub. High five. Wrap it up. All right. Hey, Wednesday Wine Pod. We'll do our thing again. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya.